There's no time for the introduction. You're a college student, you need to prioritize, and you need to do it fast. In this video, I'm going to show you how to prioritize in less than 15 minutes by using the ABC123 Prioritized Planning Method. That was a long sentence. So what is the ABC123 Prioritized Planning Method? It is a strategy meant to help you assess the priorities of your responsibilities in a fast and efficient manner, and it was originally created by Alan Laken. In my opinion, it is a to-do list made right. Why? Because its well thought out structure makes it easy for anyone to follow, especially for those students with organized messes like myself. In other words, whenever you're so stressed out because you have so many things to do that you do not even know where to begin, this strategy is meant to help you declutter your mind by letting you know what activity you should start working on first. And the ABC123 Prioritized Planning Method has 3 stages. Stage 1 requires you to create a classic to-do list. Here you will literally write down everything that you have and want to do. And ideally, you will write down all your responsibilities, including school and work. But I know that we're all different. Your area of study, career, profession, and daily life all look different compared to mine. Therefore, your to-do list will be unique to you. For example, this is my to-do list. I gotta turn in my childhood development essay, email students regarding registration, cut the grass, schedule a meeting with my advisor, finish my statement of purpose, watch Spider-Man No Way Home YouTube videos, and learn overpass graffiti on guitar. And I just wanna let you know that's a really summarized to-do list of my day. If I were to show you my entire list, it would take an entire video, and you don't want to see that. But anyways, as you can see, my list is probably completely different from yours, and that's totally fine. My point is, whenever you write down your list, make sure to customize your plans according to your unique wants and needs. In stage number 2, you prioritize your list from A through C. This is where you prioritize your tasks by giving them a letter value based on their level of importance. Of course, letter A being your most important and C being your least important. Now, the way you prioritize is going to be completely up to you. But personally, I believe that the best way to determine on what is important to you is by thinking about how your tasks and responsibilities directly relate to your goals and values while keeping their respective deadlines in mind. But at the end of the day, I recommend that you don't think too much about it. I mean, for the most part, you can easily determine that doing homework is more important than watching TV. And just like that example, sometimes you just know what's important. It's just like a second nature. For example, let's say that my student call list, my childhood development essay, and my personal statement are all due soon. Given that I value my educational and professional goals, I consider my school and job responsibilities as letter A priorities. And now that you have all of your A's, B's, and C's, you'll probably notice that you have repeating letters. In particular, you probably have a bunch of A's. So how do you decide which A to do first? Well, that's where stage 3 comes in. In stage 3, you reprioritize your ABCs by adding a numerical value to each letter 1, 2, 3. And in order to do this, think about this. Out of your important tasks, which one's more urgent and valuable to you? Once you decide, add a numerical value to each of your letters, of course, 1 being more important than 3. So A1 is going to take priority over A2, and A2 is going to take priority over B1. You know, you get my idea. It goes on and on and on. I think numbering your priorities from 1 to 3 can be easily determined by their given deadlines. But then again, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your unique values and goals. For example, to me, it's kind of hard to decide between my personal statement, my student email list, and my essay because they're all equally important to me. But out of the 3, the student email list, it's due tomorrow at 5 p.m. The essay is due 2 days from now, and the personal statement is due 4 weeks from now at the time I'm recording this video. Therefore, my email list will be A1, my psychology essay will be A2, and my personal statement will be A3. As you can see, I simply went down the list from my first to my last deadline. But there's something interesting that I would like to point out. For my personal statement, it isn't due until 4 weeks from now. And by the time I'm recording this video, there are a lot of other responsibilities that I have to do first. So how come my personal statement still ranked higher than more urgent tasks? The simple answer is because my personal statement matters a lot to me. Since I want to get accepted into graduate school, I know the importance of working on it every day and not leaving it until the last minute. Therefore, even though I have a bunch of other things to do, I want to make sure that my personal statement always takes an A-list priority until I am completely done with it. So even when I make my priority list under respective deadlines, ultimately I am the one making the executive decision of what is most important and relevant to me. And the same goes to you. Only you can decide what your A's, B's, and C's are going to be, but most importantly, only you can decide what your A1 priority is going to be. At the end of the day, my list is going to be looking something like this. And feel free to pause the video if you want a little sneak peek at a regular day in Raul's life, which I don't know why you would, because it's not that interesting. Now I'm going to provide you some tips on how you can implement this strategy into your everyday life. Number 1, write it down. The whole point of a to-do list is to have an actual tangible list. Personally, I'm more of a paper person, so I like always having my pens and notepads with me, but if you're more of an electronic person, then that totally works as well. Number 2, actually take time to create your list. And this may seem like a pointless tip to give, but trust me, there's a lot of people out there that know the effectiveness of this strategy, but they don't take the time to actually make their list because they think that it's going to take a lot of time, when in reality, this strategy is meant to take you in an average of 15 minutes. But depending on the number of responsibilities, how familiar you are with the strategy, and whether you listen to my personal tips that I will give you on the next section of the video, then you can easily do it in 5 minutes or less. And I recommend you to create your list the night before or the morning before you start your day. This way you don't waste any time trying to decide what to do, and you have a clear goal since the moment that you wake up. Number 3, focus on your A's first. Trust me, you will be tempted to work on your B's and C's first. But if you do this, you'll be more than likely to procrastinate on your A's, which is not going to be good for anyone. So the goal is to get all your A's done as soon as you can. Number 4, and this is going to sound counterproductive given the last tip that I gave you, but reward yourself with B's and C's. And I know, I just said to focus on your A's first, but if you solely focus on your heavier tasks, you will get mentally and physically exhausted real fast. So it's okay to reward yourself after finishing a couple of A's. For example, you may take a mental break from studying and working by doing a letter B, like washing dishes while listening to music. Or maybe you do something that rewards you by working on letter C, like continue to work on your Lego set. Number 5, practice long and short to-do lists. Ideally, since this method is meant to help you declutter your mind, you can focus on one day at a time. But if you want to, you can even go as far as planning your entire week. However, if you're anything like me and you struggle to get organized in the first place, then I recommend you get started with at least 5 big responsibilities in your list and then move on from there. Now I'm going to give you some personal tips from things that I've learned over the past year that I've been using this strategy. The first one is, don't stress about it too much. It's an estimate. It's not meant to tell you what to do every single second of your day. It's okay if your letters and numbers are not perfectly ordered every time. Do this strategy as soon as you can before you feel overwhelmed. Why wait for crisis to be your motivator? Physically scratch your completed tasks. It just feels great. And it might be different for you, but for me, there's just something about physically scratching things off paper. Plus, checking things off feels rewarding and gives you a sense of accomplishment, which actually motivates you to keep on being more productive. Number 4, if things change, let me rephrase that. When things change, adapt and reassess. Life happens, things will change, and your priorities will have to shift. So simply, whenever things change, redo your list and go through the same prioritizing step. Lastly, and probably most importantly, don't worry when you don't finish your whole list. Given the thousands of things that we'll have and want to do every day, we're bound to have uncompleted items at the end of the day. And that's okay. What matters is that now you know what takes priority. And if you don't finish a certain task, then make that item part of your list for the next day and reassess its value. If you don't finish your B1 priority today, then tomorrow it might become an A3 priority, and that's perfect. That's the whole point of this strategy. My point is, when you change, you adapt and reassess. And I promise you that in no time, you'll be in your path to student success. Now, the ABC123 Prioritized Planning Method will help you greatly whenever your mind is all over the place. But sometimes you may create your list and still find yourself procrastinating, which defeats the whole purpose of creating the list in the first place. So if you need help with procrastination, then make sure to watch this video right here. With that being said, until the next one, strive for success. There's no time for an introduction. I pulled my muscle. There's no...